This is Temple of Void, and we're going to take you behind the riff.
Welcome back to Behind the Riff. Today we're going to talk about a sequence of Rod.
So, opening riff, Smashing Pumpkins. That's where this one came from. I was in my car listening to Smashing Pumpkins, and I'm terrible with song titles, so I can't remember which song it was, but they are just rolling, like the whole song, they're just rolling. Like it's just how the riffs are. It's just like alternate picking on whatever it was, digging how the whole song was just like rolling like that. And I was like, I want to write something kind of in that vein, but death metalitize it. And so that's where the opening riff came from. We tried a variety of versions where we trem picked it, we sort of alt picked it and trem picked it, and then I was like, Don, I think it sounds best if we do it the alt picking way. And Don was like, okay, you know.
I resisted the urge to trem pick for
once.
It works really well here though. Like some of the magic of the riff got kind of lost if we were really digging in on that part.
And it got confusing when we alternated like rhythmically between alt and trem because like maybe we split the difference.
Yeah.
And it was like not magical.
The alternate picking makes the most sense and worked the best. And then the way Jason and Brent are carrying that part.
Yeah, and that was a Brent thing with like matching up with the kick and his leaving space in the bass notes with a boom, 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 boom. You know, so that's if we can give the stems to someone to do like a hip hop version of it. There's a lot of like good sort of like
or electronic drum intro.
Yeah, which Don did for that part.
I think it's another one of many examples. I think with songs in Temple of Void where there really are a sum of everyone within the band, where it's not one of us showing up with a whole song and saying, all right, you know, you're going to play this and you're going to play this and you're going to play this. Like we show up with ideas.
Yeah.
I have ideas sometimes of how I think things would sound. And most of the time they're different than
how they end up.
Yeah. Once we all get involved.
Right.
And I think, you know, again, like I said, I think this song is a really good example of that.
That's what gives us the freedom to say, hey guys, I've been listening to Smashing Pumpkins and I think we should, you know, because if we didn't have Mike's vocals layering on top of it, bringing what he brings to the table, then we couldn't be able to push in some of these areas because it wouldn't sound right. So he gives us that weight.
Yeah.
You know,
see, and then to me, the riff doesn't sound like Smashing Pumpkins riff.
Right, and it doesn't. And it would be a failure if it did sound like Smashing Pumpkins, you know?
Right.
Because you'd be like, what the hell is that? It sounds like Temple of Void. But just like as we're going behind the riff, it was me on 75 listening to Smashing Pumpkins and going, that's like the genesis of a riff.
So we can remember.
this one took some trial and error to get to where we ended up on this one. Different versions, different ideas of, you know, the rhythm chords, you know, the lead. You know, I tried a handful of ideas before ending up on this one.
I remember when you did get to it, I was like, stop, that's it. Yeah, like that. Because then you did keep on continuing. I was like, bring it back. That was the best one for sure. Yeah.
You know, it's good to be pulled back once in a while.
You got to experiment to find out what doesn't work.
Right.
So it was important that you did it. But I felt like once you nailed that, it had this like somberness to it and this sort of like almost like weepiness, but not in like a wussy way. Just kind of.
Yeah.
Like, I think probably somber is the best way to describe it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was one of those parts where, you know, up until this, you know, like anytime I came up with something, I was like, yeah, I like this. And then it was kind of like, well, maybe it can be better. You know, that was always my thing. It was like, I always thought like I could do something better there. What I really like about this part is I like how the lead kind of just hangs, you know, like I play a few notes and then I end on one and I just kind of rest there. And then, you know, the rhythm riff behind it is doing the moving around.
Yeah, and then Brent's bass is like rolling through the second, like the third and the fourth iteration. And that adds another layer. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, just the way things move around and within each other. You know, I think we did a really good job.
Yeah.
On that.
And then the next riff was made up in this room on the spot. I was like, give me a second, guys. I think we're going to go quicksand on this next riff, which is definitely one of Jason's favorite bands of all time. And I hear Alan Cage in his drumming. I know he, you know, loves Alan Cage. I know he also loves, you know, Soundgarden too, like if we're talking about Jason from a drum perspective. And I definitely hear their, you know, influence in what he does. Yeah, it was one of those ones that just kind of made up on the fly. I mean, it's not very hard to go, let's play 3 open fellas, but it was about the band. That's where the quicksandness came into and how Jay kind of slides into like the pocket on that. Yeah. And it just makes you groove. And then we go back to if you watched all the videos, you know, the first track on the record where we talked about the Alice in Chains, Them Bones chord coming in. So that gets plucked from that song and then deposited here. But with a jangly, what would Walter do? Walter wouldn't, you know, so that's where that kind of comes full circle, bringing in Alice in Chains, layering on Quicksand, and then ultimately when this riff gets repeated at the end, if you listen really hard, we've got tambourine. So hopefully that's a death.
Oh, you're giving up all the Easter eggs.
A death metal first, you know, tambourine, but that's just where that riff was going. It just kind of had that. You're just kind of like vibing on it, and I love the guys in the band who let me say, "Hey, let's do a Quicksand riff. You know, let's put tambourines in." And they said, oh, "Okay, let's try it out." So we did pre-production here, and you said, "You know what? The tambourine didn't suck." I think that was like what Brent said. He's like, you know, it wasn't horrible. So, you know, we brought one to the studio, and you can hear it in the final mix at the very end when it kind of picks up the beat for that part. So, yeah, that's just all comes from the jam room, from just being in here and, we get a lot of stuff done remotely, working individually or coming together like offline. But then when you come in here, you're like, where do we go? I don't know. Okay, yeah, okay, Alan Cage, rock it out. So then there's that kind of bridge part, which I feel like we wrote that at my house. I don't know. I don't remember who wrote it, but I remember working on it together outside of the practice space.
I feel like
at my house.
I feel like that lead took some work too, and there was a few different tries in there.
Yeah.
Before I got to that, I like how it kind of it's kind of in and out as far as a lead goes. It's just a few notes. It kind of comes in at the end. The kind of end.
When we play that part,
Yeah, and again, the lead that I'm playing, it just repeats all those same notes, and again, it's another one of those times where the rhythm, where the rhythm riffs and that work really, really well together.
And I think I played it right. I haven't played these songs in 9 months, so I tried to cram them in 2 days ago and go I think I got all these riffs right. Yeah. But yeah, that was a fun one to harmonize on. And so we play that for that kind of little sort of second bridgey part or bridge, and then go back to the quicksand part, and then we kind of double time it. Yeah. And and then don't we go chun 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 chun?
Yeah, we do we kind of do you do the open.
Yeah. Oh
yeah. I think.
Yeah,
I think that's how it goes.
We do that, so we come back into the opening riff,
the verse riff. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we're playing like that. Well, I mean, it's this chord, right? Is it? Yeah, and so that's the weird last chord that we end on.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a weird last spot to end this video.